In this video, we're going to talk about cameras in Blender. Now, first of all, we can distinguish two types of cameras. You can use a camera for a static view, for a static rendering. So that could be called also a photo camera. Or we can use an animated camera, which could be animated and could move around the scene. And that's going to be called a video camera. Now, in both cases, we just need to create a camera. Now, after that, depending on what will be the parameters, that's gonna be a photo camera or a video camera. So I can go to add and create camera just by doing this simple operation. Now, usually the camera will be created where the cursor, the 3D cursor, will be standing. So you can see that my 3D cursor is right there. So if I want to change it, I can click on the 3D cursor icon and I can place it anywhere here around the scene. Usually the 3D cursor is going to snap to the closest surface, so I can move it around, and then when I'm ready, I can create another camera. Again, that's the camera right there. Now, as usual, when you create an object in Blender, you can also change here the starting parameters or the really basic parameters. So this is going to be the transformation on the x, epsilon, and z. Now, probably the most important one is on the z-axis because this is defining the height of the camera. And now I can place it a little bit backward, and also I have rotation. So you can see here that I can point this camera in a lower point or in a higher point. And let's make this a little bit higher. There you go. So this is gonna go and have a view from the top to the bottom. And so I can manipulate the camera just as any other object. I can also use the rotate, scale, and other manipulation tool here. Well, actually, not the scale. Well, the scale is just gonna change the dimension of the icon representing the camera right there. Okay, so once we created the camera, to look inside the camera, we can right-click and go to set active camera, or you can press Ctrl plus numpad 0. Numpad 0 is the 0 on the numpad on your keyboard. And there you go. Now I'm just inside my camera and I can see what my camera is looking at. And also you can see here that I am inside the parameters of the camera. So you can access the parameters by clicking on this little green icon on the scene outliner, or you can click directly in here. So this is what we will change and what we need to manage and set up to create different types of cameras. And also another important panel is the output or scene panel right here, where we can define actually the resolution and the size and the aspect of the camera. And also if we want to create an animation, what's going to be the starting frame and the ending frame and so on. But we are going to concentrate on cameras in this video. We're going to talk about animation in another video. So we are stepping into the final part of this video course. We talked about modeling the scene. We talked about how to set up the lighting and the materials, how to set up the mapping for the materials. So the cameras are usually used to set up what our final rendering will be. So it's useful to create more cameras in order to have more views, so we can save these views and use them later. So if I want to move into this other camera, you can see there that I can switch from here and click directly on the green icon. This is going to bring me into this other camera. Now, when I am inside the camera, if I move just using the standard moving tools, you can see right now that I was really close. I was in this camera, but essentially right there where that little dot was. Well, that's not a good position for the camera. We just experimented it. So you can switch from the using the various views here. And well, right now, actually, there you go. So I have two cameras, one right there, and the other one is right there. So I'm going to, first of all, get inside one camera just by clicking and go there like this, and then I can switch between cameras. Okay, now this one here is not good, so I'm gonna expand the right panel from here or press N to open it up, And this is where I can also access some of the parameters for the camera. For example, I can lock the camera to view. So in this case, if I move, just like any other time here using the navigation keys, so I will hold the scroll wheel or scroll the scroll wheel, I will move around, do a pan and whatever. Now I'm actually modifying the position of the camera. So let's say that I want to do a close-up of this object right here. You can see now that if I unlock again the camera and get outside just by orbiting a little bit, you will see the camera right there. So I just changed the position of the camera. Another important thing we can set up from here is the clipping. The clipping is what we want to insert or not into the view, into our frame. You can see this object right here. It's clipped, so it's cut basically. Now to fix that, we need to go here and change the clip start. So this is where we can set up the clip. So we can clip out part of the scene. This is the nearest part of the scene, or we can clip out the part that is gonna be far from the camera. So let's say that I want to clip 1 meter. So I will not see anything that's, now it's 3 meter. I will not see anything that's after 3 meter, behind 5 meter or 6 meter and so on. So this is a good way if you want to like create a not really large scene, you want to manage the size of what you want to see inside the view. You can clip things out basically. So we saw how we can lock the camera to view. We can also use the lock to 3D cursor. So this is gonna lock any view, even our basic standard view here. We can lock it to the 3D cursors if we want. Okay, just be careful about the clipping. You need to make this a really high value, otherwise it's gonna clip things out. Okay, now let's create another one. I'm gonna you can see where the cursor is. So if I'm gonna go add and apply another camera, it's still gonna be there where the cursor is. Now, if I want to place that camera, which is now called camera 2, where I'm standing right now, so using my standard view, I can do that by doing Ctrl-Alt-0. And you can see now that I'm already inside the camera. So if I move again around, I can see that camera that I've just created and then selected and then moved into the point where I was standing with my view. Again, let's go back inside. Right click and set up the camera. Now, another really important thing is that if you notice, if I am looking the scene from above or from a really low point like this, the vertical lines will be distorted, will not be straight in vertical. Now, this is, well, if you want to create some nice dramatic effect, that's gonna be good. But what if you are working in architecture, you want to see everything really nice and straight? Well, the only thing you need to do is to be careful that the position of the camera has to be the same of the position of the target in terms of the height, especially. So right now I just went out, so I want to get back in. So I'm gonna right click and just set up the camera. We're gonna work with focal length in just a minute and also focus distance. So I'm gonna go to set camera, there you go. And I'm gonna lock it again to my view. And if I move around, you can see that I am changing basically here the transformation. So I am in the object panel. Now this is another important panel to work with the camera. You can see also that right here I have the motion blur, steps and other things about the camera, but also I have this, you can see parameters again. So I can move it into the Z, I can move it into the epsilon, into the X, and also I can rotate it. Now, as you already may notice, the important rotation right now is on the X, so I need to place this to 90 degrees. When I place this to 90 degrees, the camera will be straight basically. So this is gonna be 0. You can see that it was a little bit rotated. We don't want that either. And also the Z. Well, in this case, we don't care about the Z. The Z is fine. But look at the vertical lines right now. They are all nice and straight. So this is the important thing you want to do. Now you can move this into the height. Maybe you want to make it as high as a human, so you can say like 1.8. But the important thing is the degree. The degree needs to be 90. So you can see now everything looks nice and clean, and the lines are straight. They are not converging into towards a point. So it's a really simple perspective view, and this is what usually is asked when you are working in architectural views, ArcViz, and visuals in general. You can also use shortcut keys like G if you want to grab the camera right now. So I'm moving the camera in horizontal or vertical, but I'm keeping that straight rotation on the X, so everything will be fine. So you have many ways. You can use shortcut keys, you can use transform tools, you can use whatever you feel more comfortable with. So these are basically the ways you can create cameras, and essentially you create it in a spot where the 3D cursor is, and then you adjust it by getting inside the camera and moving it using the navigation tools or using the shortcut key Ctrl-Alt-0. Now I'm going to exit the view again, the camera, and I want to place the 3D cursors somewhere right here outside, and let's create another camera. Let's go to Add, and you also have here some extra camera if you want. If you go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, type Camera, and you can use this one here, which is camera rigs, turnaround camera for animation, import-export camera animation. You have other, as usual, you can look for also add-ons, external add-ons or internal add-ons. So if you do that, you will have some extra stuff here in the camera. For example, you can create a dolly camera rig, so that's your camera right there, but you can now use these dolly objects, so you can position everything, and you have this dolly rig. There you go, you can move it, rotate it. So it's kind of a more complex system to create cameras if you want. It's right there, you can use it. And also, let me go back. And another one here is the crane camera rig. So it's something, again, a little bit more complex. Okay, so we saw how we can create cameras. Let's get into something more technical, which represent what happens in reality. So again, in reality,